selectmen be the appointing authority, the TA would be the appointing authority pursuant to the traffic safety regulations.
Okay, and then,
There goes another plum job, Bob, that you can't give away now. Give to a friend.
Trench inspector.
Trench regulator.
Wrong, I know.
thanks, Steve.
I was gonna make an appointment of the chairman of the board, but.
Yeah, I get it. K, we've taken off. L, transfer of land on Chestnut Street, kid spot from conservation. Why is that being removed?
I received a memo that it was, the action wasn't necessary.
Not necessary.
They've worked out an accommodation agreement with conservation and recreation. And conservation will allow to continue our practice. The recreation would have kid custody control pretty much.
Does that permit the Hillview to, that's my question.
No, and what happened was Heidi's been in contact with the state as far as the grant application,
Yeah.
and the state said, fine, as long as you have the voter conservation commission saying it's okay, it's fine with them. So,
No, my question is from the point of view of Hillview kicking in some funds, not an issue.
the Hillview's still on board, and that's the next one.
Yeah, okay.
So that would be, well, although who the sponsor is, we don't know yet, right?
The article was actually again submitted by CPC. I think it was only submitted because they're the ones that are pursuing the grant.
But I spoke with the chairman of the Hillview Commission, and they're still on board as far as being a funding source for it was $50,000 or something, or 44, whatever the matching was going to be. That would take some sort of an action to appropriate the money from that enterprise fund, have it available, should the grant become available, they'd be able to do it.
But
Because
we don't know
what
who the
was
sponsor,
appropriated-
who's writing the article.
What was appropriated last April was for the previous fiscal year, just reverted back to the enterprise fund surplus.
The rec was the sponsor the last time this article was presented.
But I thought when you, town meeting passed an article, right? Whether if it's spent or not, it's
They
in
didn't
the
encumber
article.
it, though.
What?
They didn't encumber the funds. In other words, town meeting took a vote,
Yeah,
but the funds, there was no PO put out, so the funds were never encumbered.
yeah.
So, so surplus wasn't reduced, you know, it's still in surplus.
All right.
But you take a vote at town meeting, but then you don't take any action on it, doesn't mean that the money's tied up. Because it was to amend, what we did at April town meeting, if you recall, we amended the current fiscal year budget. So it's just to add it to their line item, and then they didn't spend it.
All right. Middle school field renovations. This is not sponsored by the school.
Just as another thought, maybe we want to consider doing the same thing. In the Hillview, just amending the current fiscal year budget, rather than, because I think you were onto something as far as if you had a specific article for a specific project.
Right, then it's,
Then it's treated a little differently, rather than appropriating more money into their,
yeah.
you know. Maybe, I don't know if you know what we're talking about, Greg, but if we were to handle the appropriation that's needed from Hillview, the same way we did it in April, is just to amend the current fiscal year budget by increasing a dollar amount, for whatever they need. If it comes to fruition, then they just cut the PO and pay it.
And if it doesn't,
And if it doesn't, it just
goes
reverts again.
back into surplus.
Whereas if you've got money that was appropriated through an article, specific article at town meeting for a specific project, it tends to tie up the funds longer.
Yeah, it takes another town meeting
Takes another town
action
meeting
to
to
put
do
it
it.
back in the general fund.
Would you like to include it as part of Article B?
Possibly. Yeah, budget amendments,
Yes,
yes.
and then strike
The only,
M.
the only question I would have, and maybe Heidi would be the source for the answer, is it seemed to be good enough in April. You know,
Well,
it
it
doesn't
won't
affect
hurt
the
to-
grant
it won't hurt
application.
to
Doesn't
check.
affect the grant application, that's all. And if it does, then we'll do a separate article, but otherwise, just amend the budget, then it just reverts to surplus if it's not spent. Go back at it again.
Yeah, but do check it before you,
Yeah, before we totally cross the thing out.
because we don't want
We don't want to
the
jeopardize that.
grant to be.
Right.
Middle school field renovation, are we gonna take that off?
I would recommend it be part of the capital plan, not stand as its own warrant article.
Well, we haven't taken a position on it yet, but in the prioritization, of things,
No.
it doesn't seem to fit.
I don't see us bonding that project at this point, and if it's if it's an article coming and if townspeople want to vote to fund it, then we got a real problem associated with paying for it. Unless someone's put it on as an override question.
Our capital article, we're not, actually rhetorically here, but is it our intention to just put forth those capital items that we intend on funding?
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
generally how we do it.
That's how we
Yeah.
done it.
I guess it was sort of a rhetorical question.
Yeah.
Then why would we include something that we can't possibly afford at this particular time? And I think that message just needs
Well,
to be
I
conveyed.
I
needs to be conveyed.
interpreted Greg saying it should be part of the capital plan, is that in fact it comes off. And if we decide that it's a priority in the capital plan and we can afford it, it would be on the warrant. And based on where I saw it on the capital plan, and based on, what we can afford, it's not gonna be there.
I think you just need to convey the message to the Recreation Commission and suggest that it probably isn't gonna rise to the level of support at this particular
And
time.
here we are struggling just to get through 2009 operating budget here.
So we don't necessarily, we don't wanna be at odds with them necessarily, but if the board isn't gonna support it, the FinCom isn't gonna support it, the school department's not gonna support it, why waste the ink?
Okay, now we come to the home rule amendment. We haven't voted on that. Joe, you know, did formally on
Yep.
the
Yep,
agenda.
yep. I was
And
good.
there is a suggested warrant article from, and is this the entire
It is, this is what
proposal?
council has submitted, but they realize you may wanna tweak it, because they're really operating on the understanding this is what they think you need.
Well, when I read through it, we're basically placing we're allowing for flagmen, but placing the responsibility on the police chief to make the determination between a police officer resource or a flagman.
I guess I question whether or not we need an act of the general court to do this. I forget, I mean, we proposed it twice before that I recall, and I don't recall that it was a home rule petition. May very well have been, but I thought it was an amendment to our bylaws. It just allowed, where the bylaws, I believe the bylaws stipulate the details, whether there are details required or stuff like that, the police
I don't-
chief.
I
Do you
know
remember what
proposed it, but
year?
I don't remember how you did it.
Steve, do you
What's that?
remember what year you proposed it?
I don't know. Which time?
Well, how about the last time?
I don't recall.
Could I ask a question on this wording here? This is the proposed wording from, suggested wording, possible wording, from town council.
Correct.
And in the last sentence, is that saying what I think it's saying, that this would supersede any collective bargaining agreement provisions inconsistent with the purpose of this act?
Yes.
I hope town council is giving us something that's legal, because I've been told by police counsel that a home rule petition cannot do that. That if they have it bargained into their contract, it has to be bargained out, or bargained. What I've been told is, the town could pass this, but it has to be bargained out of the contract. What Copman and Page is saying, we can just do away with it. So I want to be sure that they know what they're talking about. I mean, I'm opposed to it, as you know, anyways. So there's two major conflicts from different attorneys.
Although this notwithstanding the provisions of chapter 150E.
Well, that's why I'm
May
asking, is
cover-
what, is that what that's saying? I don't know.
That may cover
Well-
the collective bargaining, whatever, so there's a little, if there's anything to tweak that covers us as to what.
But the next sentence, Steve, as
I know,
you
no, I see
can
it.
see, shall supersede. So
All right, well,
Yeah,
let's,
but notwithstanding the provisions of, so I mean,
Right.
basically what they're saying is that there's a loophole in 150E, which is the collective bargaining clause,
I mean.
then we can do
can
it. Which means we might not be
Yes.
able to.
I know the board and everybody knows how I feel on this, and I'm definitely opposed to it. And I just want to make a comment if I could. I did speak to a couple of police officers on this, and they are quite upset. And I'll tell you what they're upset about. The fact is that they went through collective bargaining in good faith with the town administrator. Everything got solved. And then the majority of this board, within that contract period, is trying to change the agreement that was made with that union. And I agree with them. I think it's totally wrong, and it's certainly not gonna set a good atmosphere when you go into collective bargaining, whenever it may be, Greg. Because I agree with them. I would sit there and say, well, what are you gonna take away from me after I agree to it? This is just wrong, wrong, wrong. And I think you know the judge,
I would disagree with you, Joe.
Well,
First
I
of
know
all-
you would. I know you
First of
would.
all, from the collective bargaining portion of it, we're not, when they are on duty, we're not changing the pay rates. We're not changing the work rules associated with it. All we're doing is allowing for a choice between putting a police officer on, which costs the town, and any contractor that is utilizing those services, a substantial amount of money, versus a less expensive way of getting the job done. And we can no longer afford, as a community, to continue to pay these kinds of rates to get jobs done that can be done for a lot less money. And as you said earlier, you know, maybe this was something that was a, you know, it was a bone that was thrown at police officers when their salaries were low. That's not the case at this point. We've got police officers reported in the newspaper earning salaries in excess of, I think the town administrator's salary last time I saw it was quite a way down the list compared to police officers. Now, granted, they may be working lots more hours, but you know, there's got to be other ways of doing things. And if we don't change, I mean, look at what we got in front of us here. We're struggling here to find a way to get out of balancing a budget that we're already in because of economic issues associated with energy and a slowdown in our anticipated receipts in areas as a result of the economy slowdown. Right? And you know, we just can't go on the way we are. The community has turned down the last couple of proposals for overrides, and if anyone thinks that an override is in the future for April based on the current economic conditions, I would say, you know, I mean, we may, as a board, vote to put an override question on, but the chances of getting something passed, at least in my opinion, based on the way things are slimmer than they were last year. And I think we just have to do, this is just one of many, many things that we're going to have to face and make changes in the way we're doing business.